The first place White Sox, Colson Montgomery, 24 years old, first round pick in 2021. He's got a 799 OPS and 20 home runs on the season. The Guardians, they were supposed to be up there. So were the Royals, and maybe not the Twins, but people thought Detroit would be. But no one thought that the Chicago White Sox in June could be in first place. Would they be better this year? Yes. But were they going to be this much better? Well, the numbers suggest that this is who they are. Can they continue the rest of the year? We will see, but we saw it out of the gate early against the Royals, and the Royals were swept here last month. Talking to some of the people, yes, they've got good young players, even with Murakami on the injured list, but these young guys showed up to spring training this year, and they said that we want to win this year. The story goes that they told manager Will Venable, why not us? Why not this year? And Venable said, that's okay, but here's how you're going to do it. Here's how we're going to hold you accountable. And this team, as the saying goes, has been pulling from the same end of the rope. They have had a lot of dramatic moments. They have had a lot of walk-offs. They have had different heroes every single night, just one, not one superstar. We'll see if it can last. We'll see if the Royals can slow them down this weekend. They'll do so with Bobby Witt Jr. back in the lineup, Colson Montgomery and company on the other side. It is the first of three between the Royals and the White Sox. Ryan and Monty with the call coming up.
Royals baseball is presented by your Kansas City Toyota dealers, who are giving fans the chance to win the ultimate game day experience. Visit your local KC area Toyota dealer today to enter the prize pack sweepstakes. By the Wells Fargo Active Cash Credit Card. Earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases. Terms apply. And by Circa Sports and Properties. There's a sight for sore eyes, and the Royals are coming off a couple of games in Tampa Bay where they had a combined 4 runs on 8 hits and just 1 hit and 2 runs in the game yesterday at Tampa Bay. Bobby Witt Jr. is batting second as the designated hitter. Jack Caglione still in there batting third. Josh Rojas will fill in at shortstop until Jr. comes back, and Matt Quintero said there's a chance he could return to shortstop in this series, and Nick Lofton continues to get consistent playing time at third. David Sandlin will start for Chicago, and if that name rings a bell, here's our Xfinity player profile. He was the Royals' 11th round pick in 2022 out of the University of Oklahoma, and then a couple of years after that, the Royals used Sandlin to acquire John Schreiber from the Boston Red Sox, and then he was traded to the White Sox right before spring training this year. He has had 1 very good major league game and a couple of struggles after that, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the game.
Yes, look at our StatCast 3D powered by Google Cloud, and take a look at Sandlin's pitch arsenal here in 2026. Only pitched in 3 games, so take a look. He's got a big arm at 97 on the four-seamer, 95 on the sinking fastball. So the ability to produce missed bats, a lot of really quality stuff. And like you mentioned, he's had a really good start and a start not so good, but we'll see how it goes tonight.
Carter Jensen spoiled the combined no-hitter yesterday afternoon in Tampa Bay with 1 out. He hit a 2-run home run off of Craig Kimbrell, driving in Starling Marte, who had walked. And the first pitch is a fastball at 98, right down the middle for a strike. Carter's hitting streak is at 16 games, the longest for the Royals this year and the longest current streak in all the major leagues. And not just getting hits, but driving in runs. He has 14 RBIs during the 16-game hitting streak. Inside, 2-1.
You got the big fastball. He's going to love to pitch that fastball up and in to the left-handed batter, like we just saw. Just missed with that pitch to Carter Jensen.
Curveball got away from him. 3 balls, 1 strike. Line to right field and down for another hit. And now Carter makes the turn, but he'll hold with a leadoff single and a 17-game hitting streak.
Getting in that hitter's count really key, and he gets a fastball middle part of the strike zone and gets that hit streak thing alive. First plate appearance this evening, gotta love that.
And that's baseball for you. It takes 8 1/3 innings yesterday to get a hit. In the next game, you get a hit right out of the gate. And now Bobby Witt Jr. takes a strike. So this is Bobby's first game of the trip. He had missed the last 6 games with soreness in his right knee. Oh, 2. Royals were more concerned, and still more concerned right now, about his lateral movement going right to left, which would play more into him at shortstop, and not quite as much concern with running straight ahead on the bases. And talking to Matt Quatrero before tonight's game about, some players can have a leg injury and they can just play at 70% to protect that. The Royals are not sure Bobby Witt Jr. knows how to play at anything less than 100%.
Right, not in his blood for sure.
Down and away, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I think the other thing to keep in mind is he was hurt playing defense. It wasn't an injury to the knee where he was running and had the issue, which is like we normally see for a knee injury, but that awkward play he had at shortstop.
Fouled away. A couple of road trips ago, he came out of a game in Minnesota early with a sore right knee and ended up playing in the Royals' next game. But yeah, that play on defense, it was another great effort by him to glove the ball. Then he tried to use his knee to plant into the grass and throw, and that's when he felt more pain. Fly ball, left field and deep, but in the ballpark with the wind blowing in. And you figured only Bobby could miss all those games and hit one out in his first at bat. But the conditions are not favorable tonight. He'll just take a long fly out to left.
Let's take a look at the White Sox on defense behind Sandlin this evening, and a lot of new faces from what we've seen over the last couple of years for the White Sox. One reason they've been so good, we got a couple of Montgomerys on the field, which no relation to me, but I like to see that. And Miguel Vargas at third having an outstanding season. He just got Kyle Teel back from that injury he got during the WBC.
Caglione shoots one foul. Jack had that big game in St. Pete on Tuesday night when he hit 2 home runs. He had 3 hits, 3 RBIs, 3 runs scored. And then he was hitless over the last 2 games against the Rays. In the dirt, it bounces away from Teel, and then he slips. He didn't have a chance to get Jensen anyway. And Carter moves into scoring position on the wild pitch.
You never know which way the ball's going to bounce when you block it. Fortunately for the Royals, this went enough away from Teel that Carter Jensen easily down to second base.
Fastball 97. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And he goes even higher up the ladder, and 98 is good for his first strikeout.
Well, that's where he likes to go with that plus fastball up above the strike zone and try to get the hitters to chase. Sure enough, Jack Caglione does exactly that. That's a 98 with good life on it, too.
Lane Thomas with a runner at second and 2 down. Grounded right side. Gonzalez is there and goes to the bag to end the inning.
It's right for you.
White Sox are a very young offense. Sam Antonacci leads off. He's one of many players who've made their big league debut this year. Kyle Teal's back in there after the hamstring injury. Braden Montgomery hit a walk-off in his first big league game earlier this month, and Jacob Gonzalez is new to the White Sox since the Royals last faced Chicago. And Steven Cruz makes his first start this year. Back in 2023, he was used as an opener 4 different times.
Well, and Cruz has really had the up and down type season, 6.26 ERA, but he can be dominant, and he's had his games where he has to go back to the drawing board. So hopefully tonight, at least one good strong inning from Steven Cruz.
Good fastball in for a strike at 98 to Sam Antonacci. He made his big league debut on April the 15th and has had a very good month of June. Oh, and 2. Cruz gets the start for Stephen Kolek, who is on the paternity list right now. He is with his wife Jessica for the birth of a child. And when we get the details, we'll love to pass that along to all of you, and we wish them the best.
Talking Steven Cruz here, to me it's all about the fastball, and really not just the fastball, but the command of the fastball. When he commands his fastball, it's as good as about anybody, so that'll be a real key for him tonight.
One ball, 2 strikes. That slider got away from him, and that pitch has not been as effective for him this year as it was last year. There's another one, and it's fouled away. Still 1 ball and 2 strikes. All right, Monty, for someone who threw a lot of sliders in his career, what would happen if it was so good one year and not so good the next year?
Just finish. You have to really finish a slider to allow that pitch to move in the direction you need to go. If you try to overthrow it or you don't finish it, like the one we saw 2 pitches previously, it just kind of stays out there. And sometimes they're so bad they stay out of the strike zone, but the ones that are kind of what I'll call mediocre, they get right in that hitting zone and they're just spinning. Hit me, hit me, hit me.
Almost got him on the knee, and Antonacci is not afraid of that. He's been hit 16 times this year, which is second in the major leagues, and was hit 42 times in 3 minor league seasons. And the count goes from 0-2 to 3-2. Mitch Spence is expected to be the bulk reliever. That was the other end of the roster move, with Kolek going on the paternity list. And Antonacci missed a slider that was off the plate, and Cruz opens the bottom of the first with a strikeout.
Well, good finishing pitch there from Cruz. Good time to take a look at the Royals defensively behind Steven Cruz this evening. Josh Rojas getting a start over at short. We'll see how long it is till Bobby gets back out there, but hopefully Josh Rojas feels really comfortable. It's not a real regular position for him, but getting Salvador Perez in that lineup, finding a way to get Bobby in as a designated hitter.
And now strike on Miguel Vargas, who's had a bounce back season for the White Sox. And it's tied to a stance change in the air to center field. Thomas is there to make the catch. And there are 2 down in the bottom of the first. And that'll bring up Kyle Teal, who's playing in just his 3rd game after starting the year on the injured list with a hamstring, which he injured in the WBC. And that trade that the White Sox made a couple of off seasons ago for Garrett Crochet has really paid off for Chicago and Boston. But the White Sox have 3 players from that trade in the lineup tonight.
And to me, that's the trade that stands out more than any trade I can remember recently that's had such a significance on the standings in any division. I mean, you look at what the White Sox have been able to do, but by and large, the players they got for Garrett Crochet have made a huge impact on where they've advanced.
2 balls and no strikes on Teal, who made his big league debut a year ago against the Royals. Got his first big league hit against Seth Lugo. Fouled away, 2 balls and 1 strike. So the White Sox actually got 4 players, and all of them have played in the big leagues this year. Teal and Mydroff made their big league debuts last year. Montgomery this year. Gonzalez has been up with the team. And of course, from the Boston side, Crochet finished second to Tarek Skubal for Cy Young last season. There's Chase Mydroff.
And when you have that many players coming from an organization to a new organization, I think it really helps them kind of fit in, because it's not just one guy coming in a trade, it's a group of players coming together.
Yeah, how'd you like to be the one guy that comes in here and you're tied to Garrett Crochet?
Large shoes to fill.
And a couple of the guys, Teal and Montgomery, were first-round picks of the Red Sox. That stays outside. 3 balls and 2 strikes. And a strikeout on a slider off the plate. 3 up, 3 down. Michael Massey will lead off the second, playing in one of his favorite places to play for more than one reason.
We're earning a beer.
Don't forget to visit MLBshop.com/Royals, the official source for your Kansas City Royals gear. From official jerseys and memorabilia to hats and hoodies. Line center field, and it's going to stay up for Peters. So Michael Massey, who graduated from high school in Chicago, loves coming home and typically hits very well here, is down on 1 pitch on a line out to center field, and that'll bring up Salvador Perez. Fastball strike from Sandlin. So Monty was telling you that Sandlin had a really good start in his big league debut. That was on May the 27th against the Twins right here. The first batter he faced, Byron Buxton, hit a home run. Welcome to the big leagues, kid. 1 ball, 1 strike. And from there, he retired 18 in a row. That has never been done in the history of the Chicago White Sox, where a pitcher making his big league debut at some point retires 18 in a row. So he gives up a home run, retires 18 in a row on 61 pitches, 6 innings, 61 pitches to get his first big league win. Swung on and missed. Salvia is down on strikes, and that's 2 for Sandlin. And then, as fate would have it, his next start was 5 days later in Minnesota.
Same team.
He owns that team. And the Twins scored 8 runs in 4 innings, and he took the loss.
That's baseball.
Breaking ball for a strike on Josh Rojas, who played 69 games last year for the White Sox at third base, second base, and left field. No games at short, and Joel will have more on that coming up. 0-2.
David Sandlin attended Owasso, Oklahoma High School. Same high school as Royals alum Jamie Bluma,
who I'm sure is listening right now.
We hope he is.
Jumping up and down. Up the left field line and foul. And as we continue to tell you David Sandlin's life story, from there he went to junior college and on to the University of Oklahoma, where he pitched in the College World Series. He actually had a win in the College World Series, but Oklahoma eventually lost to Ole Miss, but they got the job done this year. Reaching and into left center field, and Tanachi is there, and the Royals go down 1-2-3 in the second inning.
MLB.com.
Joel Goldberg back in Chicago, and Josh Rojas back facing his former team, the White Sox. He never played shortstop for them. As a matter of fact, he has not played shortstop in the big league since 2021. And, you know, we hear this so often. When's the last time you played shortstop? Well, I played it all the time growing up in high school. I mean, most of the big league players were the best on the roster, but he said he never played it growing up. He was a second baseman and a right fielder when he was a kid, and really didn't play the left side of the infield until his senior year of college. After he was drafted by the Houston Astros, he told me the organization challenged him to become more of a true utility player when they weren't doing that as much back then. Wanted him to be a Marwin Gonzalez type, so he learned shortstop, third base, and outfield. And then he got traded for Zach Greinke, among other players, to Arizona, and Nick Ahmed, who was their star fielding shortstop, was hurt for opening day, and so he was the opening day shortstop for the Diamondbacks. Played 42 games there. That's the last time he played it. He started playing it again a little bit last week in Omaha with the anticipation that if it was needed here with Bobby Witt Jr.'s injury, he could be ready. He admitted when he started he was a below average shortstop, and not because of ability, but because he said the game just sped up on him mentally. He said now it just feels like muscle memory. It feels like reps. He said after all the years at third base, he's used to the angles over on that side. He said it was a hard transition for sure, but at this point, it's just a mental thing playing shortstop, guys.
You know, it sounds silly saying this because your most athletic players are at shortstop, second base, and center field. So you have to have the physical ability to play those positions, but they're also easier to play because you're up the middle. That's up the right field line, foul, and caught by the ball girl down there. Heck of a play. And what I mean by that, Monty, is that, you know, when you play first base, third base, left or right, you're watching the game from the side. Actually, you know, what other sport are you playing the game watching it sideways? Benintendi goes down on strikes, and there is one away in the second inning. So, yeah, you have to be good to play up the middle, but I also believe you read the ball better up the middle.
Well, I talk about good teams have really good combinations up the middle and also center field and catcher. So you want to use that middle part of the diamond for your best athletes or best players. And that's why I think you see so much of that. But you're right, it's a much better vantage point when you're head on with the action.
And Rojas right now is truly up the middle, just to the left of second base, with Colson Montgomery at the plate with 20 home runs. The Royals have passed the midway point as far as games go. This is game number 83. The White Sox have not gotten there yet. But if you go back to the All-Star break last year, if you were to make a season from last year's All-Star break up until now, Colson Montgomery has 41 home runs and 99 RBIs. That'd be tied for most in the American League with home runs and second most in RBIs. The fans are screaming balk So all the runners will move up.
I'm just glad Steven Cruz appears to be okay, because that could be a dangerous move.
And on 3-0, a runner will move up, Montgomery. And Matt Quatraro popped out right away, not to see how Cruz was doing. He was going to make this move anyway. And so there's 1 on, 1 out, with Mitch Spence jogging in to handle the bulk innings for the Royals tonight. Here's Mitch Spence, called up with Stephen Kolek going on the paternity list. And he'll be making his 3rd appearance for the Royals, and his first since 9 days ago at the Nationals.
Yeah, he's just looking for an opportunity to kind of establish himself. He's got some big league time. Just hasn't gone exactly the way he would like so far this year, but we know from his experience that he has the ability to be effective. We just have not seen it consistently so far this year.
Chase Mydroth takes ball 1. Way outside, 2 balls and no strikes on Mydroth, who did very little against the Royals last year and then the first series in April, but he drove in 5 when the Royals were here last month, and the White Sox swept that 3-game series. Breaking balls in for a strike, 2-1. Into the crowd, 2-2.
Good time to take a look at Mitch Spence's pitch arsenal from 2026 here. Really cutter, sinker, slider, also the curveball and changeup. I like the location. Got to keep him down on all those pitches. If he does that, he will do just fine.
Another foul ball. We were just talking about Mydroth last inning when Kyle Teal came to the plate. He's one of the 3 coming over from Boston in the Garrett Crochet trade. Jensen blocks that one. 3 balls and 2 strikes. And the first one to arrive. In fact, last year, Garrett Crochet, in his return to Chicago early last season, was working on a no-hitter. And it was Mydroth who broke it up. Montgomery did not have a very big lead. And a strikeout on a slider down and away, and Cruz and Spence have struck out 4 of the first 6.
Well, right, we're talking about a slider earlier, and finishing a slider. This is exactly what Spence does right here. Starts at the strike. Mydroth cannot hold back, and that ball finishes in an unhittable part, and as a result gets a strikeout.
And these White Sox will strike out. Here's Braden Montgomery. And that looked like a swing, and it was, according to James Hoy down at third base. Big home runs for them this year compared to last year, and big strikeouts. That's the 3rd highest strikeout rate in the major leagues. Line center field, and Thomas is there. So Spence gets the final 2 outs, and at the end of 2, no score.
Are you?
Be one of the first 10,000 fans to Kauffman Stadium on the 30th. So just 4 days from now, the Royals will be facing the Rays again. And you can take home a Slugger Gym tank top. So go ahead and flex your muscles with a Slugger Gym tank top. Royals.com/promotions. The Royals will host the Rays and the Phillies during the upcoming homestand. Nick Lofton hits it to deep third. Vargas shows off his strong arm. And there's one down in the top of the third inning. That'll bring up Isaac Collins. Up and away, ball one. When Sandlin was traded to the Red Sox for John Schreiber, some considered him a top 20 prospect in the Royals organization. That's a strike, 1-1. One list had him as the 19th best prospect, and then when he went to the Red Sox, he eventually became a top 10 prospect in their organization and a top 2 or 3 pitching prospect. And then he ended up with the White Sox this past offseason.
He's got the big arm, the big body. He can miss bats. See why a lot of organizations certainly would be high on him.
A good looking breaking ball. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Take a look at this curveball. Put a 12-6er. 12-6er just literally rolls off the table. That's about as 12-6 as you can get.
Backhanded at first by Gonzalez. Sandlin got off the mound very quickly. 2 outs. Carter Jensen wasted no time leading off the game with a solid base hit to right field, and his hitting streak is at 17 games.
He sure looks comfortable at the plate, seeing the ball extremely well. He has a long hit streak as a reward of the way he's approached most of his at-bats and plate appearances here over the last couple of weeks for sure.
And at his age, it is one of the longest hitting streaks in Royals history. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fouled away. Go back 10 years and you ask Carter Jensen, do you want to be on a list with Salvador Perez when it comes to Royals history? He'd take that. Age 22 or younger in franchise history, Salvi and Carter Jensen have the longest hitting streaks at 17. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, we saw it last year from Carter Jensen. Was a very advanced hitter for being called up for the first time. A player who worked hard to get his opportunity in the major leagues, and he's really picked up right where he left off. Take a look at the hit streak spray chart. 17 games and 17 different looks from where he's hit the baseball. And has the 4 home runs. We saw one of them yesterday break up the combined no-hitter, but really good example of using all fields.
3-2. And the Royals have watched him thrive as a rookie and be the player of the month of April, and then struggle in May, and then pull it back together in June.
Yep. To me, that's go ahead.
I was say it goes back to what we've talked about. Nobody wants to see him struggle, see any player struggle. There's a strikeout, but when they do, you want to know if they can pull themselves out of it, and he has.
That's great to see.
On Amendment 5.
Kansas City Royals baseball is presented by Yingling Flight, the next generation of light beer. By your local Kansas City Honda dealers. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards. When we got in last night from Tampa, the fog rolled in. I don't know if you noticed that, but it went from a mostly clear night to foggy right away. And the same thing has basically happened tonight in downtown Chicago.
And what a contrast in temperatures from where we just were to where we are now. From Tampa to Tampa Bay Area to Chicago, it seems like going from middle of summer to fall.
Yeah, we were saying, I feel like we're in the middle of September right now, not late June. Tristan Peters fouls it away. And the crowd goes crazy because of a catch up in a suite just to our left. And you pointed out, there you go, there's the catch. Barehanded, and that was a liner. I mean, that was not a looper into that suite. Denny would say that is a bad trajectory, but not for this guy. Oh, one-handed, reaching into the booth next to him.
I'm going to give that a really, really high level of difficulty.
Yeah. Popped up right side. Salvi wants it, and he's got it. Here's tonight's injury update brought to you by the University of Kansas Health System. Munetaka Murakami has been out with a hamstring strain, so he's been out for almost exactly a month. And it hit 20 home runs in his first 57 games, but the Royals have not seen any of that. The best he has done against the Royals is walk. He is 1 for 20 with 10 walks. And to be honest, some pretty bad defense over at first base, but has been, the rest of the league has been paying the price. Low on Jacob Gonzalez, 2-0.
He had that really hot start to the season, then he went cold about when the Royals were playing him, and right after that he got hot again, and then the leg injury. And so I'm taking balls at first base today and hitting in the K, or hitting during batting practice, so he looks like he's on the mend.
Strike on Gonzalez. He was the White Sox first-round pick in 2023 and made his big league debut May 31st. 2-2. Changeup got away. 3 balls, 2 strikes. That'll go into the crowd, and there is a noticeable increase in energy at this ballpark. The White Sox have gone through some rough years lately, and it's good to see the place slowly but surely filling back up with their team tied for first place with Cleveland. And a breaking ball is outside for a walk. And there is reason to come out and watch them here if you're a White Sox fan. Not only are they playing well, they are thriving here. And the Royals on this trip are playing the 2 toughest teams at home. The team with the best record at home in the major leagues is Tampa Bay, and the Royals just split a 4-game series. Second best is the White Sox, and they've won 9 straight home series. And Tanachi drops it into left center field. The throw will go to second. and put runners at first and third with one out.
Take a look at the replay on this. Looks like a cutter that just stayed in the middle part of that strike zone. Antonacci, really nice hitting there, going the other way. And I think when you look at this White Sox team, this is what you want to avoid if possible, staying away from loading or putting guys on base with this part of the lineup coming up with Vargas, Teal, Benintendi. Those guys that have the ability to change the game in one swing of the bat.
Vargas fouls it away. Since we last faced the White Sox, Miguel Vargas has gone to a more upright stance, and then he lays the bat flat over his back shoulder. And the White Sox felt like he was just hitting with too much tension. He had some flex to his knees. He was bent at the waist. The bat head was straight up. And what this has done has just gotten his body to relax and making him quicker at the plate. And that's hit high and deep to left field and gone for a 3-run home run.
Take another look at this cutter that's going to be right in the middle of the strike zone. Miguel Vargas right on that pitch. Spinner just seemed to be in the middle for too long and bat connected. This is exactly what the White Sox have been doing all season long. Providing opportunities for their big bats to change it in one swing.
And now ball one on Kyle Teal. Only the Dodgers have more home runs in the major leagues than the White Sox, and that was number 111. And this is a 3-run home run in the third inning. I don't know if you'd call this a clutch home run, but they have hit some very meaningful home runs this year. Walk-off home runs, grand slams. They have 6 pinch hit home runs this year. Two balls and 1 strike on Teal.
One reason they have such a good home record is this is a great hitter's ballpark, especially for the home runs. We've seen it over the years. How many balls that are out of this ballpark that maybe are not out of a lot of other parks.
2 balls, 2 strikes, especially when should be warmer right now this time of the year. And we began the game in the low 60s. It's June 26th, so when it's warm here, this place is a real launching pad.
It is.
So there's no reason to believe that that trend is going to go backward. Teal takes low, 3 balls, 2 strikes. And a walk. So Spence has walked 2 in the inning, including the number 9 hitter with 1 out, which led to Antonacci's single and the Vargas home run. Here's Andrew Benintendi. He struck out against Steven Cruz in the 2nd inning. Fouled away.
Benintendi, not the same player that we saw in Kansas City the 2 years he was there, but still a very productive player. Maybe not the average that we're accustomed to seeing from him, but has a veteran presence right in the middle of the part of the lineup. And he's had some big home runs for this White Sox team as well.
And that's up the right field line and going to roll deep. Caglione cuts it off. Teal will hold at third, and Benintendi slides in with a double.
Well, we know Andrew Benintendi is a professional hitter, understands exactly what he's doing at the plate. He goes down to that back knee in order to get down and get that pitch as a curveball, really below the strike zone, but Benintendi followed that pitch extremely well right to the bat head.
This is year 4 of that very lucrative 5-year contract Benintendi signed. And talking about clutch home runs, he had, what, a pinch hit grand slam at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Brian Sweeney goes out for a chat. And now it's Colson Montgomery, who has 20 home runs, coming up with runners at second and third and 1 out. And 3 home in the inning on the Vargas home run. He is also a strikeout candidate. He already has 99. Down and in, ball 1. He took a walk his first time up on what ended up being a very odd pitch clock violation on Steven Cruz, who started his motion before the clock expired, but he lost his footing and never delivered the pitch. 1 ball and 2 strikes. So when you're watching the pitch clock becomes null and void as soon as the pitcher begins his motion, but he is required to deliver the pitch. And Cruz did not. He decided not to throw the ball. He hung on to it. He had a follow through with his arm, but held on with the ball. But it was a no pitch, which means it was a violation in ball 4. I don't think we've seen that in the few years of the pitch clock.
I'm with you, not to my recollection anyway. It was kind of a weird instance. We had to really put a lot of thought into it between innings to figure out exactly what did happen.
It was 3-0, and if he had followed through and the ball just kind of fell out of his hand and hit the ground, then it would have been an executed pitch, and it would have been ball 4.
Right.
Down he goes with strikeout number 100 this year. Colson Montgomery, and Spence gets a big out with runners at second and third.
Mitch Spencer throwing him a lot of breaking balls are down below the strike zone, and then he comes back with that elevated fastball, is able to get the job done. It's a big strikeout.
That's his second. And now this becomes a big out. Chase Mydroth with runners at second and third and 2 down. Jensen's going to challenge. ABS is powered by T-Mobile. And it was not a strike. By quite a bit.
Rarely do you see a challenge on a 2.5-inch separation.
Up the right field line, but slicing and into the netting.
Right, every time I see Mydroth, it reminds me of the game in Kansas City a couple of years ago. Late in the game, that pop at the second base that hit him right on top of the head. And I think the Royals, I can't remember if we walked off on that.
It led to a walk-off.
Led to a walk-off.
Yep.
But that's really the difference in this White Sox team. Then they were finding ways to lose games. Now they're finding ways to win games.
Two balls and 1 strike. That was May the 6th of last season, and it led to Bobby Wood Jr. getting a walk-off hit. But if I recall, that might have been the last out of the inning.
It was going to be, yes.
Up the middle. Cut off by Rojas. Does he have time? No. And a run scores.
It's not going to be a routine play for Josh Rojas to make up the middle, and had that little bobble, and then Salvador Perez had to come off the bag in order to make sure the ball didn't go into the dugout, so it ends up being an infield single.
So it's a 4-run bottom of the third inning. Benintendi is at third. And here is the 9th batter of the inning, Braden Montgomery. Blocked well by Jensen. Montgomery made his big league debut here on June the 9th, and in the 10th inning hit a walk-off home run in his first big league game to beat the Braves.
And that's got to be a very short list of players who ever done that. I would guess only a handful, if I were to make a guess. In their debut to have a walk-off home run.
That's low, 2-1. Well, since you asked, on record, the first to do it was Billy Parker in 1971, and then the rest of them are pretty recent. Josh Bard, a catcher with Cleveland in 02. Miguel Cabrera with the Marlins had a walk-off.
I remember that one now that you say that one.
In 03, and then Carlos Perez, a backup catcher, had one in 2015. Still 2-2. This is a 35 pitch bottom of the third inning for Mitch Spence, who is being counted on to be the Royals' bulk reliever after Steven Cruz went an inning and a third, and he's using up a lot of pitches in a short period of time. Blocked again by Jensen. 3-2.
Spence liking his breaking ball, liking that curveball. Have a good idea it's going to be below the zone. Sure enough, it is. And Carter Jensen, really nice job of keeping it in front of him. Runner on third would have scored easily.
Meidroth is running, and Montgomery takes ball 4. And now Spence has walked 3 in the inning. The first 2 have come around to score. And Tristan Peters comes up with a chance, although you never want to be that guy, to make the first and the last out of the same inning. Not good for you, but usually good for your team.
That's very good for your team. It means everybody's going to the plate at least once.
Up the middle and into center field for 2 more. He wasn't that guy. He was the guy to turn a 4-run game into a 6-run game.
We'll take a look at the cutter. Cutter's up right at the very top of the zone. Mitch Spence hoping that there's going to be a second baseman right there as the ball goes past him on the mound. Unfortunately, not the case based on the shift and the way that the infield was aligned. Got the ground ball, unfortunately did not get the out.
And now Gonzalez, who actually started this rally with a walk. Pulled foul. Unless you're facing a great hitter in a run scoring situation, a pitcher never really wants to walk someone. There's also, of course, the dreaded leadoff walk, but then there is the walking the 189 number 9 hitter to bring up the top of the order, and that's what happened with 1 out. Gonzalez walked, and Tanachi singled. Vargas hit a 3-run home run. Teal walked. Benintendi doubled. Then out number 2. And now Maidroth has driven in a run, another walk, and Peters has a 2-run single. And the White Sox have 6. And that's hit high and deep into the right field corner. Caglione won't get there. And now the White Sox have 9.
Jenkins had 1 home run coming in, and as you mentioned, hitting 189, gets a slider down and in. And we know to lefties, oftentimes that's that nitro zone, and Gonzalez just did not miss it. Had enough power, lift, and separation for the 3-run shot.
And now a ground ball base hit into right field. And Tanachi has his 2nd hit of the inning. Well, when you score 9 runs in 1 inning, there is more than 1 big hit. But Miguel Vargas had the first one with a 3-run home run. Breaking balls in for a strike. And into left center field, and that's going to go to the wall. Here comes Antonacci. And it's a double-digit bottom of the 3rd for the White Sox. And Vargas has driven in 4 of the 10 runs.
Well, this will be the 44th pitch that Mitch Spence has delivered, and down below the zone, but Miguel Vargas just has a knack for going down and getting that pitch and obviously driving it into the gap. 10 spot on the board for the Sox.
Wow, this is painful in more ways than one. It is a 10-run inning, and Matt Quatrero is going to remove his bulk reliever after a combined inning and a third. Here comes Beck Way. Well, you look at that graphic there, it looks like someone messed up the numbers. It just it looks off kilter, but there was no score coming into the bottom of the 3rd, and the White Sox have scored 10. 10 runs, 8 hits, 3 walks. All those walks have come around to score. And Beck Way comes on to try and get the final out of the 3rd inning. Teal takes a strike. Well, the hope was that Steven Cruz could get the game into the 2nd inning and possibly finish the 2nd inning. He got 1 out in the 2nd inning and then issued a walk, and Matt Quatrero made the change. And then Mitch Spence goes an inning and a third. So here's Beck Way in the 3rd inning. This is what the Royals bullpen looks like. The gold shows how many pitches they've thrown in the last 3 days. The white, how many pitches they threw yesterday. But Steven Cruz, to get an inning and a third, faced 5. Mitch Spence, to get an inning and a third, faced 15.
Yeah, very unfortunate outing there for Mitch Spence.
Grounded right to Rojas. And the inning is over. The White Sox bat 12 and score 10.
Blue Moon.
Not the way that Bobby Witt Jr. or the Royals envisioned this night going, but the fact that Bobby Witt is back is certainly the positive this night, regardless of what happens. Talking to Jr. today, and he was open a little bit. You know, he loves to talk about everybody else, not himself, certainly not an injury, but he said that when he felt that pop in his knee on the slide back last week in Kansas City, he said it was something that he'd never felt before, and his first thought was the worst. So I think he might be like all the rest of us. We all held our breath, including Bobby. And then he was very happy to learn that it was just a grade 1, and he could immediately focus on how to get back in there. He said that the hitting has felt really good. He doesn't have any limitations physically. You could see he's got a brace on that knee, and you know, a few days ago in Tampa, he wore the brace working out on the field. The next day, they tried to tape it up to see how that was, but they convinced him to go back to the brace. Is it as comfortable? No, it's going to be bulky, and he would prefer not to do that. But he said, anything that I can do to get me back on the field is what I'm going to do. They just want that extra layer of protection. And he said that he didn't want to rush back simply to be available. He said that, you know, he wants to be able to perform. He doesn't want to hurt the team. At the same time, a guy that, you know, tries to build himself to play 162 every single year. He said, I hate missing opportunities to put on that uniform because it can go by fast just like that. He is back, hoping to get back to shortstop maybe as soon as tomorrow, but certainly a positive sign. And hey, he'll take the walk. You never know how it can get started, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing about Bobby Witt Jr. Not having him in the lineup just for a day. You notice the difference. You notice the fall off, because one of the best players in the game, you're going to miss him, but great to have him back.
Well, David Sandlin is never going to complain about getting 10 runs of support in 1 inning, but that was a lot of sitting around for him. And he missed with the first 4 to Junior, and gets Jack Caglione right after the White Sox batted 14. I said 12. 14 in the bottom of the 3rd inning and scored 10. And now he's missed with 5 in a row.
One knock on Sandlin is his ability to be consistently in the strike zone. So if anything ever goes wrong with him, it's always command related.
And now he's missed with 6 straight. He struck out Caglione with an elevated fastball in the 1st inning. And now he's missed with 7 straight.
Not exactly what your manager wants to see after you just get a 10 spot. Look for a shutdown inning, and it doesn't even have to be a loud shutdown inning. You just don't want to give away freebies.
And that is low. Back-to-back walks without a strike. And here comes Zach Bove out to have a chat. And we have a message from Rally House.
The season starts at Rally House. From jerseys and hats to tumblers for game day, it's where outrageous selection meets every fan's style.
There are a lot of former Royals that are helping lead this turnaround for the White Sox, both in the front office and in the dugout. The most recent being Zach Bove, who was an assistant pitching coach for the Royals and is now the pitching coach for the White Sox. And now Sandlin has missed with 9 in a row.
Throwing lots of breaking balls too. We know he's got that outstanding fastball. Surprised he doesn't just challenge hitters, fill that strike zone up with that 98 fastball. You're going to probably be just fine.
There's Zach Bove. I guess you don't take anything for granted, but ahead 10-0 with 2 on and nobody out. Kyle Teal just went out with pitch comm and made sure the infield knew where he was going to throw if the Royals try to double steal.
Attention to detail.
2 balls and 1 strike on Lane Thomas. Way outside. He's not just missing, he's starting to miss badly.
Yeah, he really is. Sometimes you go to that breaking ball to try to get back into the count. That was a cutter that missed by the batter's box.
And that's down and away for 3 straight walks. The Royals have had a couple of games recently where they have made things interesting. Remember that game
against the Astros?
Against the Astros, they were down
9-0
before they even came to the plate and ended up losing 10-8.
Yep.
That's in for a strike on Massey. Royals had a game during the last homestand where they were down by 7 against St. Louis and got the score to within 2 a couple of different times before St. Louis rallied late, fouled away, and ended up winning 12-10. That was the final game of that 3-game series. Michael Massey has played 17 games in this ballpark before tonight, and his OPS is over 900. That's high. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
With this stage in the game, to me, what you want to do is you want to establish the ability to put runs, especially after yesterday almost being no hit in that combined no hit bid. You want to put some runs on the board, and how you get them, it doesn't matter. You want to put some runs on the board, and this is a great opportunity here to get that thing going.
Ground ball to second. That's what Sandlin wanted. That turns the inning around. Royals get a run. Bobby Witt Jr. comes down from third, but the White Sox will gladly take the 2 outs.
Well, Sandlin's going to go to a changeup, a pitch we have not seen him throw a lot this evening, but his pitch he has in his arsenal, and Michael Massey kind of rolls it over to second base for Meidroth and gets that double play going.
And now Salvi with Caglione at third. And again, he misses badly. Sandlin struck out Salvi with a fastball in the 2nd inning. Two and 0.
I mentioned Sandlin has had command issues at times, and one reason is because his cutter has such life to it. It's almost like a slider, so it's a pitch he really has to throw like to a righty. He has to throw it to the inside part of the plate and allow it to finish on the outside part of the plate if it's going to be for a strike.
And it caught the outside edge. A 20-pitch inning, which included 3 walks in the half inning after his offense scored 10. That's fouled away. Two balls, 2 strikes. Off the end of the bat. Out in front. So out of all that, Sandlin allows just the 1 run, and we head to the bottom of the 4th.
Wildcats K-State night is coming up on July 17th. Receive a Royals and K-State tumbler when you purchase a theme ticket. Grab your theme tickets at royals.com/K-State.
Beckway throws a strike to Andrew Benintendi. And Beckway got the last out of the White Sox 10-run third inning. And they batted 14. And they had two different hitters score more than one run. And then they had Miguel Vargas, who had RBIs in both of his at-bats. And now Benintendi gets on top of one into deep right field and gone for the White Sox third home run.
Beckway trying to go up and in on Andrew Benintendi. Got it up and in, and I think he must have just been looking for a pitch. That's 97 out of the strike zone, above the strike zone, but we know Benintendi has that fast bat. Sure enough, hits it in the bullpen.
And here's Colson Montgomery. Fouled away. You might remember the Royals got Beckway from the Yankees in a trade for Andrew Benintendi. Back at the trading deadline in 2022, Beckway with two other minor leaguers came to the Royals. Benintendi was injured shortly after going to the Yankees. And he was booed for years there, just being a Red Sox player. But the White Sox, as they were rebuilding, thought that Benintendi would be a good fit, someone who's been around for a while, who has postseason experience. At the time, he was a good all-around hitter. He had recently won a Gold Glove. He had recently been an All-Star. And now he's in year 4 of that 5-year contract.
If I'm not mistaken, that was one of the, if not the largest contracts the White Sox had ever given a player.
Yep. Called third strike, and Montgomery strikes out a second time.
Good life on this four-seam fastball from Beckway. Got the velocity and the life on it. Just nipped that corner at 97.
And now Maidroth takes low, ball 1. In an inning where the White Sox scored 10 runs and had 2 3-run home runs, you could make a strong case that Maidroth had the key hit in the inning. And it was a pretty innocent infield single driving in a run, but it was a ground ball up the middle, and Rojas was there, and the ball took a hop up on him, and Rojas still almost got the out. The ball bounced off of him and was just kind of floating out in front. He was able to grab it with his bare hand and threw a little bit offline. Had the out been recorded, the inning is over, and that's a 3-run inning. And now Maidroth gets a line drive into center field. And so he has 2 hits, and the official score agreed that that was a play that required more than ordinary effort, considering he had to run to the middle and handle a bad hop. But that was a key hit for Maidroth to put the ball in play and reach with an infield single.
Right, it was a makeable play, but a difficult play. Unfortunately, it was not made.
The White Sox scored 7 runs after that. Hydroth was hustling, going up the line, knowing that there was going to be a close play at first base. You know, when you look at the White Sox numbers, there are many that do not scream first place team. On offense, they're second in the major leagues in home runs, and they have 3 more tonight. But they have been an outstanding base running team. And that foul ball goes by a very key member of the coaching staff, first base coach Jose Lejer. And the White Sox decided that they were going to try and take a big step forward this year. And in doing so, they decided they were going to be the best base running team in the major leagues. And Jose Lejer has come up with a contest, if you will, a grading system where he rewards base runners by taking an extra base, attempting to take an extra base, even if they take a wide turn at first base, like they're going to get a double and they have to stop and go back. There's a point system. There's another strikeout for Beck Way. And there is not one team in the major leagues that doesn't hope to be a good base running team. But usually the best base running teams don't just have speed, but there's an attitude. There is an identity that goes with it. There's a buy-in. And Jose Lejer has created a game, if you will, that's really gotten these guys running the bases.
Well, it puts pressure on the opposing team when you're able to go that extra base. You're able to force some throws, or maybe some mistakes that are going to be made if you're otherwise not making that attempt to go to the extra base. So it all goes hand in hand. And the thing I've noticed about this White Sox team this year more than anything is the fact that they play 27 outs. They don't give up. They play the entire game, and they play it hard. They play it right. Sure, they have the home run power to go along with it, but they have to set the table to get the multi-run home runs, just like we've seen tonight.
Fouled away. They are 20th in the major leagues in ERA. Their save percentage is 56%. That's not great. Their defense by most standards is average. They are 27th in the major leagues hitting with runners in scoring position. They have one of the highest strikeout rates in the American League. But there, as they would say today, there's a vibe right now. There is a mojo. There is a winning culture. And led by Chris Getz, the former Royal, who was in the Royals organization before coming over to the White Sox, there's been an attention to detail as far as the types of players that they bring to the White Sox. They want no bad apples in that clubhouse. Caglione waits in right field. So Beck Way gives up the solo home run in the bottom of the 4th, and the White Sox lead 11-1.
House.com.
Josh Rojas set to lead off, and what a journey he has had. A kid from Arizona ends up at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. He really wanted to go to the University of Arizona or Arizona State, he told me, but they didn't have any spots for him. They encouraged him to go to junior college. He did that, played in a junior college all-star game and got some attention from that, but neither of those schools could guarantee him a spot still. But the University of Hawaii at Manoa offered for him to come. He took a visit, and shocking, he loved Hawaii, and he really liked the opportunity to get playing time. After his junior year of college, he started thinking about maybe hanging it up. Wasn't able to get that spot over at Arizona or Arizona State, and his parents said to him, "You made a commitment, you've got to stay with it." After his senior season, he came home believing that his career as a player was over. He was going to interview for a job at Arizona State as an academic advisor, planned to become a college coach, was going to take advantage of getting a master's degree. And then the Houston Astros invited him to a pre-draft workout in Huntington Beach. This isn't quite like Monty showing up in his Chuck Taylors, having left all of his gear back at home on a long drive, but all of his gear was in Hawaii still, and he had to get to Huntington Beach. He went to a sporting goods store, tried out, never heard back from them. Rojas was planning on pursuing that master's degree and the coaching career when he got a text message one day from his mom. She had seen on social media that he had been drafted. It wasn't even on his radar. And so he put the rest of it on hold, and all these years later, after being drafted by the Astros and traded to the Diamondbacks and moving from team to team. He is still at it, says he'd like to be a coach one day and try to give back, but right now he's hitting singles against his former team, the White Sox.
And after that setup by Joel, this is season number 8 for him in the big leagues after all that.
I would guess he will likely be a baseball lifer. If he wants to be a coach, all of his experience in baseball, there will be numerous organizations willing to give him that opportunity.
Nick Lofton grounded out his first time up. Joel had the same experience I did. Josh Rojas is really interesting to talk to and very good-natured about that story and how he got here and how long he's lasted. When he was with the Astros, he was traded back to his hometown organization, the Diamondbacks, with 3 other prospects, and he had a funny way of describing it. Chopper to short, out at second base, and no double play. Rojas is out at second. He said he was, when he realized he had been traded and it was a deadline move, so if you go on the MLB network, it's just a constant scroll of all the trades that were made. And of course, Zach Greinke moving at that time, that was big news, going from the Diamondbacks to the Astros. And it said, and he was one of 4 players. It said the Astros received player 1 and where they ranked in the organization as a prospect. Player 1, I think it was Seth Beer, 11th best prospect. Next guy, 17th best prospect. Next guy, 23rd best prospect. And then he said, and then it just said Josh Rojas.
Well, you can tell what kind of person he is when you come to a team you've played with previously, like he did with the White Sox, and all the guys on the White Sox want to come over, shake his hand, give him a hug. That tells you what he's all about.
Good point. Back through the middle, Montgomery steps on second, throws to first, and this time around they turn the double play, and that's the second turned tonight behind Sandlin.
Here's tonight's Rally House, a moment that matters. Jacob Gonzalez, 3rd inning, the second 3-run home run of the inning, his second on the year. Had 5 RBIs coming in, now he's got 8.
And now Lucas Erceg comes on in the bottom of the 5th inning in what was going to be a bullpen night for the Royals, but so far the Royals have got an inning and a third out of Cruz, an inning and a third out of Spence, and an inning and a third out of Beck Way. So this is reliever 4 in the 5th inning, and that's lined into right center field, and Caglione glides over to make the play to retire Gonzalez.
Nice to get a first pitch out. Lucas Erceg really on the way back to where he needs to be. Last 4 outings have been solid. Love to see him have another one here this evening.
Sam Antonacci. He is 2 for 3, and his 2 hits both came in the 3rd inning, and he scored both times in the White Sox 10-run 3rd. It's a heck of an accomplishment to get 2 hits in 1 inning. I guess the ultimate would be 2 home runs in 1 inning, which has happened before many times. Broken bat. Look out, Lucas. The bat went flying right by him, and Rojas throws out Antonacci for the 2nd out. I'd imagine you've experienced a few of those.
Yes, you love to break bats, but a little nuts when it come right back at you.
Pretty calm about it.
Yeah. He's an ex-infielder. He's used to that.
But anyway, I remember recently we were talking about really big innings. And Johnny Damon, former Royal, had a game against the Marlins many years ago when he was playing for the Red Sox. He had 3 hits in 1 inning. That's a big inning.
That's a huge inning.
Miguel Vargas hit the first of 2 3-run home runs in that 10-run inning. And then later in the same inning, he had an RBI double. Talk about the Garrett Crochet trade. A couple of years ago, the White Sox traded Michael Kopech to the Dodgers and got Miguel Vargas. And it was really easy for us because he was a Royal both on the field and off the field. But Chris Getz, as you could imagine, took a lot of heat in this town because of 121 losses. They lost 100 games again last year. But now people just go on and on about Chris Getz and the players that they acquired in trades, the manager that he hired and Will Venable, the culture in the clubhouse. We were talking about that earlier. I mean, they are very intentional about the type of characters they have in the clubhouse. Vargas bloops it to right. Here comes Caglione, and it's going to drop. And as a result, it's a team that's not just playing well, but enjoys playing together, and they're all pulling for each other, even if one guy is on the field and another guy's on the bench thinking he should be on the field.
And that's the biggest difference you can tell in any team that makes such a turnaround from year to year. I'll compare it to our 2024 team. Same thing. These guys they're pulling on the same end of the rope and finding ways to really play much better baseball as a unit than individually. You can put all those parts together.
Yeah. Then eventually you don't even have to police the clubhouse anymore. They'll take care of that. You don't have to remind the players about their strengths. They kind of take it upon themselves. I mean, this is still a pretty young team. They're going to have their moments. High and deep to right field. And that is home run number 4 for the White Sox.
Well, up until this 4-seam fastball in the middle part of the strike zone, Lucas Ursek had really been on the edges on almost every pitch he made. His changeups were on the corners, his fastballs were on the corners. This one, unfortunately, finds the middle part of the dish there, and Kyle Till did not miss it.
And now it's 13-1, one day after the Royals lost 13-2 in St. Petersburg. And Tampa Bay had 4 home runs yesterday. It's almost identical right now. Tampa Bay had 4 home runs, 2 3-run home runs, a 2-run home run, and a solo home run. And that's exactly what the White Sox have in the first 5 innings tonight. Benintendi grounds it to Salvi. He will take it himself and put an end to the bottom of the 5th. But Chicago has scored 13 runs in the last 3 innings. Do you have what it takes to be the next Royals TV Capital Federal Junior broadcaster? Visit Royals.com/junior broadcaster to enter. Carter Jensen will lead off our Sonic Slam inning. Our contestant is Megan Ryan from Great Bend, Kansas. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Megan wins $500. Popped up off of third, and Vargas, as the wind pushes it back into fair territory, makes the play, and Carter is 1 for 3 tonight. If the Royals hit a grand slam in this inning, then Megan Ryan will win $25,000. Bobby Witt Jr. is back after missing 6 games with right knee soreness. He flied out to deep left field in his first at bat and then walked and scored in the 4th inning. That's in for a strike from David Sandlin. One and one. One and two.
Ryan, I know as a pitcher, oftentimes when you have a situation where you have such a spread in the score in a game, it's difficult for a pitcher to focus and lock in. But like for the hitters, that's somewhat of a challenge at times as well. But especially for Bobby Witt Jr., having missed these last 6 games, you really got to stay locked in and treat this like it's a 2-1 game.
Trying to get his timing back.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to ask you from a pitching standpoint, because I learned from you years ago. I asked you one time, why do closers struggle in non-save situations? And you told me because you feel like you just have to rush. Everyone's like, all right, come on, Monty, just throw some strikes, and you don't pitch like you normally do.
Yeah, get you out of your game.
And I guess it'd be the same sometime. I bet you right now, David Sandlin is feeling from everyone in his dugout, everyone on the field, and everyone here rooting for the White Sox. Come on, just throw strikes. Let's get this thing moving. Let's get on to the next inning. Why are you walking, guys? Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Well, you go back to that 4th inning, he walked first 3 batters after they had scored 10 runs for him. And you could actually hear it in the stands from people, you know, kind of booing him a little bit. Let's get back in this ball game. But he just sat for about 25 or 30 minutes between innings when he sent 14 to the plate.
Remember reading years ago, Andy Pettit, great pitcher, Hall of Fame caliber, so put it in its proper context, but he used to say he hated pitching with a big lead for that same reason. He was better feeling that every pitch meant something.
I had a chance to visit with Alex Lang on the pregame show the other day, did a little interview with him, and I asked him, I said, I assume you'd like to have a 3-run lead when you come in, because remember you closed out that 2-1 game. So it doesn't matter to him, but I know I felt like I pitched better in a 2-1 game instead of maybe like a 4-1 game where you had that cushion, just because you don't let up at all. You stay so laser focused, knowing that one swing of the bat can either tie up the game or beat you.
Off the end of the bat and just foul. Two and two. Cedergren just had a good call. Does Sandlin's mechanics remind you of Jorge Lopez?
Well, he looks like him too.
He does. Hard to know if he's as nice as Jorge is. Almost got him on the kneecap, and we will forever remember Jorge's near perfect game at Target Field. He took a perfect game into the bottom of the 9th inning and a
walking and a base hit.
Walk to Kepler, I believe, and then I think Robbie Grossman had the single to center field. Fouled away. Still 3 balls, 2 strikes. He had a pretty good career as a reliever. deep, hooking, and foul.
It's going to be a sinker in. Cags turns on this, 104 miles an hour off the bat. Just a little bit too quick, a little too out in front.
He got that one inside the line. And he's going to make the turn and go for 3. That is his second triple of the year. And it puts an end to an 0 for 10.
Well, we saw him go foul down the left side. We saw him go home run distance to right side. And here he's going to go triple down the right side. Gets a little cutter in the middle part of the strike zone and turned on it. Rewarded with the triple.
Strike on Lane Thomas. He is grounded out and walked. And it's fouled away. For every Royals hit this season, Quick Trip and the Royals will donate books to Kansas City schools and nonprofits through the Hit the Books program. Learn more at royals.com/book request. One and 2 on Thomas. And that's down the middle for strike 3. He has struck out 6. He has given up 1 run and has a ton of run support. Kansas City Royals baseball is presented by Quick Trip. Download the QT app for exclusive deals and offers. And by Community America Credit Union, invested in you. Is that downtown Chicago or downtown San Francisco?
Yeah, look at the fog.
John Schreiber is on to pitch for the Royals. So both pitchers currently in the game were traded for one another. John Schreiber coming to the Royals in spring training of 2024 for David Sandlin, although they're working in the White Sox bullpen right now. No balls, 2 strikes on Colson Montgomery. Broken bat. Rojas is out, but it's going to drop. And Montgomery has a hit. He is the only White Sox hitter so far that has not come around to score tonight. Chase Mydroff has 2 hits, a run scored, and an RBI. Well, Monty, when you're tied for first place, you have your sights set on bigger things. But I would imagine for some White Sox players, it's a little sweeter beating the Royals like they have, because the Royals just own the White Sox for a couple of years. Mydroff gets his second, make that 3rd hit, the 2nd hit of the inning. And the White Sox have 2 on with nobody out. coming into this year, the Royals had won 24 of 28 against the White Sox, including going 12-1 in 2024.
Well, the White Sox have run 5 games against the Royals this year, so one more than they've won in the previous 2 years combined.
Wow. Ground ball to Salvi. He bobbles, recovers, and did Schreiber get the bag? He did not. The Royals are going to take another look, but Schreiber did not argue. The Royals will not challenge, and the White Sox have the bases loaded with nobody out.
It's going to be an error on Salvador Perez, but the most important thing here to me, especially in a situation where this game is score-wise, not the outcome, but John Schreiber in a very, very vulnerable position there. Fortunately, came up safe. No harm.
Line right field, deep and gone. And a grand slam for Tristan Peters.
Tristan Peters, 3 home runs into the season coming in here. We're going to get the sweeper from John Schreiber. Down and in, we talk about this all the time. That really, really hot zone for left-handed batters. You almost have to finish, and goes off Cagliano's glove. Almost pulled that ball back in.
And that's hit high and deep into the right field corner. And foul. Off the bat of Gonzalez, who already has a 3-run home run, so it's 17-1. And now the White Sox have homered for the cycle. They have a solo home run, a 2-run home run, 2 3-run home runs, and a grand slam. One and two.
And Ryan, really just, it doesn't matter who the Royals put in, and John Schreiber's been throwing the ball extremely well as anybody on that bullpen. Even Schreiber's been vulnerable here tonight. Long ball after long ball by this White Sox team.
You know, you just look at this inning. I mean, Montgomery bloops a base hit to left. Mydroth hit a very slow roller that got through the right side. Then the error. And then the one hard hit ball is worth 4. They have tied their season high with 5 home runs, but this is a season high 17 runs scored. The only pitcher who is not allowed to run was the opener, Steven Cruz, who got the first 4 outs for the Royals tonight. That's poked up the left field line.
Well, when it rains and pours, this ball is almost on the ground. And Gonzalez goes down and just punches it right down the left field line. How low this ball is.
Well, go ahead. Let them use their total allotment of runs this weekend tonight.
Sure hope that's going to be the case. It's one of those games as a reliever, you're just hoping when the phone rings down there that it's not you, because we know how contagious these various departments can be, and right now it's contagious. positive effect for the White Sox sticks.
It is only the bottom of the 6th inning.
Batter is challenging the call strike. Chicago will have 1 remaining.
So that's the first thing that hasn't gone the White Sox way tonight.
Got that right.
One ball, 1 strike on Sam Antonacci. They had not only scored 17 runs, but they've scored 17 runs in just the last 4 innings. And now that's line to right. It's almost like the White Sox know what's coming. Caglione, probably out of frustration, just reached back to see how hard he could throw it back to the infield. And that had to be somewhere near 100 miles an hour.
Well, here we go again. Another pitch down, but like you mentioned, almost like the White Sox hitters have a good idea of what the pitch is going to be.
And now Vargas takes inside, ball 1. He is a triple shy of hitting for the cycle. He flied to center in the 1st inning. He had a 3-run home run and an RBI double in the 3rd, and then singled and scored in the 5th. Fouled away.
And Ryan, you talk about that 3rd inning 3-run homer. That will be the Miller Lite moment. The Miguel Vargas 3-run home run.
And that drove in the first 3 of a 10-run 3rd inning. Jose Abreu was the last White Sox hitter to hit for the cycle in 2017. It's only been 6 in the history of this franchise. I can remember a cycle hit against the Royals. One of those, I believe, was your last year in 1999. Chris Singleton hit for the cycle against the Royals here in Chicago, either 99 or 2000.
I don't remember it. I remember 2 witnessing. I remember George Brett, and I believe Kelly Gruber may have had one against us once.
Okay.
I think.
That is a low number. The White Sox go back to 1901. And no cycle in this at bat. And that is out number 1. And strikeout number 5 for a Royals pitcher. When the Royals get 10 or more strikeouts, you get a free Frito-Lay snack the next day at Price Chopper. The Chris Singleton cycle against the Royals was 1999. You may have been trying to avoid centipedes and scorpions at Baseball City on a rehab assignment when that happened.
Possibly.
Things I'll always remember from my first year: you had a hip problem and went on the injured list. And even as long as you'd been and everything you accomplished with the organization, they shipped you out to Baseball City. And I remember you came back and somebody asked how it went, and you said, well, I didn't get stung by a scorpion or something like that.
Yeah, the spring training complex was beautiful during spring training that entire period. But once the team left, they did not keep it up exactly the same way that it was for the Major League Spring Training part of the year.
Massey to Rojas to Salvi to put an end to a 4-run bottom of the 6th on a grand slam by Tristan Peters.
Sports.
Come out to Kauffman Stadium on July 18th for Nebraska Day. The Royals will be hosting the Padres right after the All-Star break and take home an exclusive co-branded Royals and Nebraska tumbler with the purchase of a theme ticket. And you can purchase those theme tickets at royals.com/Huskers. Luis Angel Acuna takes over at shortstop for Colson Montgomery. And Jordan Hicks, who came over in the trade from Boston with the starter tonight, David Sandlin, takes over in the 7th inning. And we'll get Massey, Salvi, and Rojas.
We know Hicks has a very, very live arm. He's had some arm issues, but the thing that stood out on his numbers, 17 walks versus 15 strikeouts.
Still running it up there at 99 miles an hour. One and two on Michael Massey. You know, you and I just did a game in Tampa Bay together 2 days ago. Griffin Jacks made the start for the Rays, and after years as a reliever, they are turning him into a starter, full-time starter, not an opener, a full-time starter. And it made me think of Jordan Hicks, who pitched 5 years with the Cardinals. Look out, that's just above the Royals dugout. As a reliever, primarily a reliever, and then he signed as a free agent with San Francisco before the 24 season, and they wanted to turn him into a starter. 2-2. It just seems like a long time, especially, you know, the way relievers are today, just max effort, to think that you can take a guy who's had that mindset for so long and turn a 1-inning guy into a 5 or 6 inning guy.
And he was one of the most dominant relief pitchers in all of baseball for a couple of years.
It's down and in. And not only did it not work, but Hicks spent a lot of time on the injured list.
Right, he's been hurt quite a bit.
Massey is down on strikes. One away, and here's a message from UMB Private Wealth.
Is my retirement plan on track?
Are my investments aligned with my goals?
Is my plan built for the long run?
Schedule an appointment today.
Salvi is 0 for 2 tonight. Down and away, ball 1. Yeah, Hicks, that first year as a starter with San Francisco, went on the injured list twice with shoulder problems. .100 is high. 2 balls and no strikes. Hicks made his big league debut with St. Louis in 2018. Fouled away. His first major league pitch was 100.3 miles per hour.
I remember all the talk about him when he just had come up in the Cardinals organization and got a variety of pitches still. I mean, it's a sinker, sweeper, 4-seam fastball, and it throws an occasional splitter, but Back then, it was primarily fastballs.
Nice pick. After a long throw by Vargas, Gonzalez helps him out on the other end. And there are 2 down in the 7th inning. And now Rojas, 100 miles an hour. And you can see that he'd be a handful if he can keep the ball in the strike zone.
Yeah, and that's 100 miles an hour with a lot of late life, too. I mean, that's got that sinking action, even though it's got the velocity go along with it.
Catcher is challenging the ball call. Chicago will have 0 remaining challenges.
That's the only negative news attached to the White Sox tonight.
You thought they would have saved that challenge for a time when it was more important in the game, right?
That's right. 1-2 on Rojas, who is 1 for 2. Two and two. Hicks that same year when he made his big league debut eventually threw a ball at 105 miles an hour. Three balls, 2 strikes.
Well, the game is certainly a game of power, especially power arms, but even when the Hicks still throwing at 100, more walks than strikeouts on the year.
Which begs the question, when he's been around as long as he has, he's 29 years old, at what point does he say, you know what, maybe instead of throwing 100, I'll shoot more for 97, but in the strike zone more often?
Well, you see that a lot when guys have they're blessed with the enormous arms. One, injury is one factor. 2 is just command, inability to command the baseball.
And to left field. And the play is made. The fans have been out of their seats all night tonight, but it's the 7th inning stretch with the White Sox leading huge. Kansas City Royals baseball is presented by Metropolitan Community College. Hometown advantage, 120 plus degrees and certificates. Classes are enrolling now. mcckc.edu/youranywhere. And by Commerce Bank, proud to be the official banking services provider of the Kansas City Royals. Great field on the south side of Chicago, with the White Sox leading 17-1. And here is Alex Lang to pitch the bottom of the 7th.
Well, hopefully Alex Lang can do something that so far tonight only one Royals pitcher has been able to do, and that is shut down this White Sox offense, and that was Steven Cruz.
This is Junior Perez pinch hitting for Andrew Benintendi, who was 2 for 4 with a home run, a double. That's a base hit to left field, and base hit number 18 tonight for the White Sox. Here's a message from Minsky's Pizza.
2 KC greats, 1 delicious pizza. The Minsky's Joe's Kansas City Barbecue Pizza. Order now at Minsky's.com.
And now Acuna bats for the first time. Tough play, and it's going to get by Lofton. And Perez will end up at third base. Rather than lay back for it, Lofton made the aggressive move and didn't get the hop he was hoping for.
Well, it's probably going to be a double play if he's able to get that real short hop. Unfortunately, the way things are going for the Royals tonight, that just has not been the case. I think it's the right idea. Just passes glove on the glove side.
It'll be a base hit and runners at first and third for Chase Mydroff, who has 3 hits tonight. Blocked by Jensen. 1 ball, 1 strike. A couple of Kansas City area kids are the Royals battery tonight. And a strike, 1-2 from Alex Lang, the former Lee Summit West Titan, reaching the big leagues along with other Titans. Trevor Rosenthal was the first. Matt Hall, Monte Harrison into center field. Mydroff drives in his second, and Junior Perez comes to the plate to make it 18-1.
Well, it really doesn't matter where the pitches are tonight. Seemingly, White Sox find a ways to get the job done. That pitch was a pitcher's pitch, down and away. It was a slider. Pitch normally going to have success with. Unfortunately, tonight, that is not the way things have gone for the Royals.
Outside ball 1 on Braden Montgomery. This is the most runs the Royals have allowed since 2019, when they had a game where they allowed 19 runs. Royals lost that game 19-4 against Oakland. Up the left field line, foul. Balls have been hit hard tonight.
Well, this is our first look at Montgomery, but you can tell the way the ball comes off his bat, they're so excited about what his upside is power-wise, the potential he has with regards to the driving the ball to all fields, the home run abilities. The ball just seems to jump off his bat.
One away.
Well, here's tonight's Whataburger Whata play. We go back to the 6th inning. Tristan Peters comes to the plate, bases loaded, and he's going to empty the bases. Grand slam.
Can't fault the effort of Jack Caglione, who came very close to robbing that grand slam. And then it's easy to assume the worst, and you don't want him to put himself in a position to injure himself in a game like this. Remember a few years ago, Eloy Jimenez, who played left field here. He's mostly a DH, but there was a spring training game in Glendale, and he tried to rob a home run, and he had no chance. I mean, it missed his glove by like 10 feet, and he injured himself. His arm got tangled up in the wall on the way down and ended up missing a big chunk of the season because of it.
Well, you want to give effort. Your pitcher appreciates it. It's off his glove. I mean, that was so close to coming back in and being a great catch by Jack Caglione. Unfortunately, just off his glove, and also fortunate that he did not get hurt.
Still can't get over how smoothly he has transitioned to right field. I mean, and then he's been playing first base lately, and he hasn't missed a beat there.
Yeah, he's looked good in both positions. Obvious sign of the athleticism he possesses, and it's great when you have that size for plays like we almost saw him make going over the fence to bring that grand slam back in.
Walk to load the bases. One out.
Renner got to bring in some more baseballs the way this thing's going tonight. The official game balls, another couple dozen coming in. Rarely see that.
Are they discussing the count? And it is ball 4. Even the ball boy thought it was ball 4. He went running up there and almost ended up with the new baseballs, and then realized for a moment he had to go back and get the bat for Peters, but it is ball 4. And now Gonzalez. With the bases loaded and one out, and he already has a 3-run home run tonight. The biggest inning by far was a 10-run third inning, and Gonzalez was one of a few who batted twice in the inning. That's up the line and on the line. And here comes runs number 19 and 20. I mean, they're just throwing their bats at the ball now and driving in runs.
Well, if you had any doubt if this is going to be a fair ball or a foul ball, I'd take the bet that it was going to be fair, the way the ball has found ways all night long for this White Sox offense.
These are not the pitchers that the Royals want to use in a game like this. That was interesting. Brian Sweeney went out for a chat, and I don't know if Alex Lang didn't see him or not, but he took a little stroll behind the mound and then walked in for the conversation.
Yeah, it looked like the meeting was more with Carter Jensen than Alex Lang.
Here's leadoff man Sam Antonacci. We're in the 7th inning, and this is his 6th plate appearance. "20 runs on 21 hits." This is the 4th time in Royals history that they have allowed 20 or more runs, the most being 22. I don't know if you remember this one or not, Monty, but it was 1994 against the Red Sox when the Royals gave up 22 runs. I don't think you pitched in that game. I'm going to assume.
I wonder who started that game. I don't remember that.
And now a walk to load the bases.
Well, Alex Lang now 26 pitches, and certainly don't want to run him out there for many more than that. And sure enough, Matt Contreras is going to go out and make a change.
Yeah, as bad as this is tonight, you could very well have a close game tomorrow, and you don't want to be burning your guys that you're relying on in the later innings. Daniel Lynch comes into a game with the Royals trailing by 19 in the bottom of the 7th. And he comes on with the bases loaded, 1 out, to face Miguel Vargas, who lines it to Lofton, who makes a great play out at second, out for a double play, and the White Sox will take another look at it. The Royals, with wishful thinking, are running off the field, and the White Sox are going to challenge.
And you ask, why challenge in a game with this type of score? But it's a difference between an RBI
Chicago is challenging the
for
outcall at
Vargas
first base.
and no RBI.
Right, and he's about to get one, which would be his 5th of the night. He is a triple shy of the cycle.
I'd say that's clear and convincing.
Yes.
After review, the call is overturned. The runner is safe. Chicago will retain their challenge.
It is 21-1. So Antonacci is out at second base. And now first and third for Teal. And the second time tonight where the White Sox bat all 9. In the 3rd inning, they batted 14 and scored 10 runs. Kyle Teal is recently back from the injured list because of a hamstring injury. There's a strike, and it's 2-1. He was 1 for 7 in his first 2 games, and tonight he has one of the 5 home runs. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
But that was during the World Baseball Classic when he went down. I think there were a lot of people watching that game, White Sox fans, that saw that and said, uh-oh, we're going to miss him. But sure enough, they've really picked up the slack in his absence. Now they're getting him back, so they should be even better.
Grounded into right field.
Like a slider from Daniel Lynch, and he goes down and gets it. Hits it in the hole.
And so that ties a Royals franchise record, allowing 22 runs. The biggest margin for a Royals loss coming into tonight was 18 runs. Rojas makes a diving play. This time around, the White Sox bat 10 and score 5.
Good to Geico.
Brandon Eisert gets the Royals' 8th inning, and it'll be Lofton, Collins, and Jensen.
Brandon Eisert, one of the few pitchers in the big leagues now that does not throw over 90 miles an hour. His average fastball at 89. A rarity in today's game.
Lofton was barely ready, and Eisert throws a strike at 89. Lofton is 0 for 2. No balls, 2 strikes. One ball, 2 strikes. At one point in this game, there was no score until the bottom of the 3rd. And in that inning, there was 1 out and nobody on base. The White Sox scored their first 3 in that inning, a home run by Vargas. And later in that same inning, there were 2 on and 2 out. So just 1 out away from a 3-run bottom of the 3rd. Lofton is down on strikes, and the White Sox scored 10.
Yeah, it's been one of those games that seems like it, regardless of who the Royals have sent out there to pitch, it has not gone their way.
Isaac Collins is 0 for 2. And that's inside the bag and down the line and off the side wall. And that is the Royals' 4th hit tonight. Here's a message from Auto Owners Insurance.
With the right coverage from Auto Owners, when the unexpected happens, you know you're covered. That's simple human sense.
And from the Royals side, the game began with a base hit by Carter Jensen in the top of the 1st inning, extending his hitting streak to 17 games. That's off of Eisert, and of course it ricochets to a White Sox defender for the old 1-4-3 out number 2.
Yeah, Ryan, when Carter Jensen led off that 1st inning with the hit, you're thinking, well, here we go, going to get things going, and already had as many hits today as we did all of yesterday, both by Carter Jensen. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case.
Get him on the leg or the hand?
I think maybe
He's
both.
shaking his left hand.
I think it got his hand and his leg.
If that had been a White Sox hitter, that would have ricocheted off a Royals pitcher and gone over the wall in right field.
That's the way it's going, hasn't it?
And Eisert might be allowed to stay in because there are 2 outs in the inning, and there is such a wide margin in the game. 22 runs, we mentioned, ties a Royals franchise record for runs allowed. They had a game in 1994 against the Red Sox. From the White Sox point of view, this is the 2nd most runs they've ever scored in a game. They had a 22-run game back in 1970. And Eisert will remain in the game. So Collins is at third for Bobby Witt Jr., who is 0 for 2 tonight in his return to the lineup with a walk and the only run scored. 0-1. Shallow right. And run down out there and almost overrun by Montgomery, but he's there for the out, sending us to the bottom of the 8th.
Promotions.
Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Kansas City Royals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals. And Tyler Tolbert comes on to pitch in a 2nd straight game.
Normally not a very good sign, and we know for sure that it's not been a good sign either yesterday or here this evening for Tyler Tolbert.
And there's a base hit to right field for Acuna, who has 3 hits in the last 2 innings. He led off the 5-run 6th. I take that back. He had a hit in the 7th after coming on for Montgomery, and now a base hit in the bottom of the 8th. 23 hits for the White Sox.
Here's the fans that are wanting Tyler Tolbert to challenge my draw. 1 strikes, they're saying.
And now the umpire has completely lost track of the strike zone. There were 2 pitches that are in there for strikes. So I don't know what that proves. Plus, you can't challenge when a position player is out there. Back to Tolbert. Out at 2nd, and a double play.
Well, Tyler Tolbert obviously used to seeing balls hit pretty hard, and great glove, great feed. Looks like he's done this before. Maybe stepped in a little PFP during the course of spring training work with the boys.
Well, what's one more run in a game like this? There is some significance. The Royals have never allowed more than 22 runs in their history. Fly ball left field. Collins is back, and he's got it. And so the Royals officially tie the team record, allowing 22. Our next broadcast on Royals TV is tomorrow afternoon. Our coverage begins at 2:45. Michael Wacha against Davis Martin. And what you're going to hear very shortly from the Royals when this game is over is the only thing you can do is try and forget about this and move on. And it will help with Wacha on the mound, because Michael Wacha, as a Royal, has made 7 starts against the White Sox. His ERA is 1.31 in those games. But Davis Martin's having a really good year. He's 9-3 for Chicago. And this is Trevor Richards coming on in the top of the 9th inning. The Royals are down by 21. Prior to tonight, the largest margin of defeat in Royals history was 18 runs. Caglione is down, and that'll bring up Lane Thomas.
Trevor Richards pitched briefly with the Royals last year, but here tonight we're going to see the 4-seam fastball, changeup, slider. That was a good changeup. He just got Jack Caglione out with.
Lane Thomas is 0 for 2 with a walk. He'd like to get a hit here. He is 0 for his last 14 and put that behind him going into tomorrow afternoon. Jack Caglione snapped an 0 for 10 with a triple tonight. 1-2. Tyler Tolbert just pitched a scoreless bottom of the 8th. And Thomas is out on strikes, and back-to-back strikeouts for Richards.
Well, Richards featuring that changeup. That's an outstanding pitch. Just after the mid-90s fastball, comes back in and change of speed was really good.
Diving play at third. Mydroff, who started the game at second tonight. And that punctuates what has been basically a perfect night for the White Sox. The fireworks go off, and there have been fireworks all night with 22 runs, 23 hits, 5 home runs. Oh, and the pitching staff gave up 1 run, 4 hits.
Seemed like whoever came in for the Sox did a good job. They really got things going early in the game. Steven Cruz did a nice job as an opener for Rose, but that was about it. And really just all White Sox. Wasn't much positive we could look at to get out of the Royals night.
So on to tomorrow with coverage beginning at 2:45 for director Steve Kurtenbach, producer Kevin Cedergren, associate producers Greg Jansen and Sean Van Biesler. The producer of pregame and postgame is John Harvey. For Jeff Montgomery and Joel Goldberg, this is Ryan Lefevre. Thanks for hanging in there with us tonight. Royals postgame presented by Price Chopper with Joel and Monty is next.